go out and get it, no more about it.
But not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the war court today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Carey. Carey leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it hard. He's put it over.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Hello, and you're welcome along to episode number 270 of Treaty Talk. Tom Clancy here in the hot seat, and joined as ever by Matt O'Callaghan of the Weekly Observer and the Vale Star newspapers, here to chat everything Gaelic Games in the past 7 days, and a look ahead to the weekend of action that lays in store right across the county and beyond for the Limerick teams. Matt, I was in Croke Park last weekend. It was far from the height of summer, but nevertheless, some things don't change with this Limerick team. They've managed to churn out efficient, high-scoring and winning performances at HQ. 330 put up against, I must be said, a weak Dublin performance. But
I think there's a problem with our sound, Tom. I'm finding it hard to hear you, but I got the gist of what your question was.
Yes.
It was about, more of the same with Limerick when they got to Croke Park for the game against Dublin, I think. Is that the gist of it?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like, I expected Limerick to win. I had very little doubt about that. My confidence in the winning grew when I saw the line out. And when you saw the like of the returnees who were making their first appearance of the season, it was great to see Nicky back in goal. Lost none of his touch. Mikey Casey at full back, Kyle Hayes at wing back. Absolutely fantastic to see these guys back. But overall, Tom, it was a fantastic performance. A huge performance from Gearoid Hegarty. He scored 5 points from play, but that's only part of the story because he was directly involved in the 2 goals scored by Donnacha O'Daly and Tom Morrissey. And just mentioned Donnacha O'Daly, and we've spoken about him in the past in this particular forum. And what an incredible 3 games it has been for him. 2 goals and 12 points from play. You can't argue with it. He's certainly putting his hand up, and, he's given John Kiley the like of the kind of a headache that he must really like. He's given him options in the full forward line. So, look, it's job done as far as Limerick are concerned. They're going to be in Division 1 next year. So it comes with a caveat like that. The Limerick's 2 toughest games have to come yet. And that's no disrespect to the 3 that Limerick have played, but Tipperary and Galway. But the manner in which they dismissed the Dublin challenge, Tom, was simply awesome. You can only try to imagine, what sort of performance, when will they be at full strength? Because there are players putting up their hands constantly, and what will the full strength team look like? This is John Kiley, rather than getting answers. I think every game that goes on, he's getting more headaches, more selection headaches, ideal headaches. Absolutely, I'm sure he wouldn't like it any other way. But the way he's using his players sparingly and is absolutely admirable, Tom. But enough said, I suppose. Fantastic win, tremendous performance by Gearoid Hegarty. Augurs well how he loves Croke Park. Donnacha O'Daly 2-1, as I said, 2-1. That brings him to 312, actually, doesn't it?
312 or even 313, I think. Yeah, in the 3 games. It's very good.
Well, 7 points, 1-4 and 2-1. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
So
exactly,
it's just fantastic. And from a Limerick point of view, long may it continue. And I'd say it sent out a message to all and sundry of those that might have designs on Limerick's title this year, that they're not going to relinquish them too easy. So roll on Tipperary Saturday week.
Yeah, Tipperary, the visitors to the TUS Gaelic grounds. Just one final point on it, Matt. John Kiley alluded to it post-match that it was an opportunity as well to bring back the tried and trusted, but it was an opportunity to give guys more experience in Croke Park. We saw that for obviously O'Dalik, who's played previously there with Monaleen, but even Shane O'Brien, probably, I think he'd only played there for Article Reach once. Fergal O'Connor, I don't think he'd ever played any game there. And other guys, even Aaron Costello coming off the bench, they're not overly familiar with the sod, as it were, in Croke Park. So he used it very well, again, spreading the load across different.
Sure, you used it very, very wisely. And just mention of Donegal, of Fergal O'Connor, he played like a Croke Park veteran.
Yeah.
I thought he was outstanding. And of course, we haven't mentioned it, and we have to mention it. The placing of Cathal O'Neill at centre half back.
Yes, how do we forget? Yeah.
Was another Kylie Kinnerk masterstroke.
Yeah.
When David Reedy cried off, you'd be scratching your head who'd come in, and the first port of call you would have had if you were told that David Reedy was missing at centre back and Declan Hannon wasn't quite ready yet, you'd say straight away it was going to be Will O'Donoghue.
Yeah.
After his heroics in the All-Ireland final. But John Kiley and Paul Kinnerk pulled another white rabbit out of a hat with Cathal O'Neill at centre back. He was absolutely fantastic there. He got so quickly, he got accustomed to his new surroundings and embellished a fine performance with 4 points from play. In other words, he didn't lose his nose for the target.
Yeah.
It just gives you a sense. It'll just give you a sense of the versatility of this team. Like Barry Nash started off as a forward, went back into a half-back, now gone back into a cornerback. Kyle Hayes started off as a forward, now gone back, wing back. And we're going to see a third player that was an out-and-out forward, now becoming a defender.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's great to see that they don't pigeonhole these players into one role. They can find new options for them, and it augurs well, I suppose, for the summer that Limerick have a little bit more depth to centre back, and I suppose Cathal O'Neill would be eager to nail down a starting berth wherever it may come. So I'm sure he wasn't opposed to the idea either. So moving along, Matt, that's Limerick's case. A reminder, as Matt said, Tipperary to come and Galway also to come on St. Patrick's weekend. 1 win from 2, I think, should be enough to squeeze Limerick into the semi-finals. 3 points out of 4, or indeed 4 from 4, of course, would be enough. But there's no game this weekend, but the attention will turn to an All-Ireland final for a Limerick team, Matt. It's not too often at club level, certainly we get to say that, but there's one on the horizon for Monaleen. They get to play the men from Tipperary. That is, of course, Drum and Inch. These sides renewing rivalries after the most dramatic conclusion to their Munster decider, which people need reminding, saw Paul Kennedy help himself to a hat-trick in stoppage time and cut the dreams of Monaleen's Munster title to shreds. So a chance, Matt, for Monaleen, bit of redemption. And I think from what I've heard from you the last few weeks, you'd fancy their chances. They're a well-oiled machine, and maybe they'll be better for that experience in the Munster final.
Yeah, I saw the Munster final. Very, very disappointing. I came away from the Munster final, Tom, convinced that Monaleen would win the All-Ireland. Because they were never going to slip. They're never going to slip up again like they did in that particular 4 minutes of madness, really. And it saw them then in the All-Ireland semi-final, a very competent and efficient job in the semi-final. Now, in the semi-final, and I made the point to some of their connections afterwards, in my opinion, in the semi-final and the win over Ballinasloe, they did not play as well as they played in the Munster final when they lost. But semi-finals are all about winning. and getting over and getting into the final, and they did a very, very competent job. And I saw the first game, and I think Monaleen will absolutely relish the opportunity of putting the record straight. They are a good side. They outplayed Drummond for long periods, and were not flattered, actually, heading into injury time 7 points up, and to get hit then by that 3-goal salvo. So I expect that obviously they're going to have a plan for Mr. Kennedy. He scored 3-7 that day out of Drummond's 3-8. Now, the points were mainly from frees. I presume that Monaleen are going to police that gentleman for 70 minutes or 75 minutes, however long it goes. To a certain degree, they left their guard down when the first goal went in. You'd say to yourself, it's still 4 points. The next thing, the second goal came in, and it came down to a point. Monaleen went down the other side. The goalkeeper made a save at the expense of a 65. Max Ivory, who scored 26 points in the last 2 games, he nailed the 65 comfortably, as if it was just 20 yards out in front of the goal. And you said to yourself, golly, this is it, Monaleen home and hosed. But no, there was one sting in the tail, and it was Paul Kennedy's 3rd goal, and after which the final whistle went. So the circumstances, like Eamon O'Connell and Niall Mackin and the management team, you would imagine that they would have a big job in lifting their charges after losing a final in such circumstances. But they certainly did a good job on it, a very, very good job on it. And they bounced back in the semi-final. They will be the better for a close semi-final with Ballinasloe than Drummond were for a one-sided semi-final win over Bor. So, Tom, before you ask me, I'm going for Monaleen to be crowned champions. And they'll have their little bit of history now. They'll be the second team from Limerick only if they win it. And they will be winning it in similar circumstances to the previous team, which was Doon in 2015. Doon lost, and I'm not looking for omens or, as they say in the country long ago, pishogues or anything like that. But in 2015, Doon lost the Munster final to Killinall, and they reversed it in the final. So we'll be hoping for a bit of history to repeat themselves. I expect Monaleen to win. And they will make, as I said, as I was about to start when I got waylaid by pishogues and everything, Tom, but they'll become the first Limerick team to win Club All-Irelands twice.
Yeah, 2 different.
And you must remember that they will win Club All-Irelands in successive years, having won the intermediate clubs last year. And talking to Eamon O'Connell after, some of the lads, they were on the extended panel, so they know what an All-Ireland final is all about. And there was a couple of them on the bench of the present Junior B team. A lot of very good young players in it, and players that have caught my eye. Noel Clancy as a defender, outstanding, and Max Ivory. Max Ivory, of course, is the go-to man. But then you have the experience of the like of Damien Cosgrave and Conor Nicholas and Keano Dwyer straight down the middle. So, yeah, I'm very hopeful that we will be reflecting this day week on a Monaleen victory.
Yeah, very good. Matt, the quiz question for you. So, who's the only Limerick club to have won Munster titles in both codes? Can I put you on the spot for that one now? And you don't need to look too far for that one.
Both codes?
In football and hurling, there's only one Limerick team have won a Munster title in both codes, and you may be talking to a member of one.
No, Tom. No, Tom. Ballybrown.
There we are. Yes, so the Munster senior club hurling title in 1989.
You got your little bit in, and just as you're talking about Ballybrown, that was a beauty now from you, Tom. But it gives me the opening. Ballybrown won the Munster Junior B Club Championship club competition. What year was it?
In the football or hurling, sorry, you're about.
In the football, I'm talking about.
Is it 2017? The early part of 2017 to 2016 competition, I suppose.
They beat Drummond Pierces anyway, and they became the first club from Limerick to break the Cork Kerry duopoly.
Of the football,
but it was broken again last Sunday when Shannon Gales became the first club from Tipperary to win the Munster Junior B competition. They beat Oliver Plunkett's from Cork by a goal. So now there are 4 counties that have won it, but it has been won every year, mainly by Kerry and Cork. I think Cork have only won it twice, but Limerick have won it once, and so have Tipperary. So it's nice not just to see a new club going on the honours list, but to see a new county as well.
Yeah, certainly, and it adds to the competition, I think, going on that the other counties can do it in the football anyway. And we wish Monaleen the best on Saturday. Sorry, isn't it 2 p.m. on Saturday? There's so many games on my list here.
Saturday, Monaleen is Saturday at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. See, there we go. There's a lot of games crossing wires here. 1 p.m. Saturday. Monaleen Drummond Inch for the All Ireland Junior B crown. And an interesting one, I'm sure, with their Tipperary counterparts. Before, Matt, I'll come back to schools in a second, but we'll just jump to third level. We'll work our way maybe down the tiers, if you like. Muirish O'Dalig is the link here. He's going to be playing in goals for Monaleen in the Junior B final. He was in goals on Wednesday evening for UL as they secured the Freshers 1 title, as it's called, a win 114 to 113 over DCU. Again, UL, they lost the Fitzgibbon final, but I tell you, there's no shortage of talent in their ranks if the Freshers teams are anything to go by. Do you have me? Gone. But no.
You're breaking up, Tom.
And as well as the Freshers 1 title, they won the Freshers B title later on the same evening. But for the UL first team, there was 2 Limerick men starting, both from Monaleen. Muirish O'Dalig in goals, as I said, and Darragh Langan, of course, member of the Limerick senior panel. He was at wing back. But the standout names, I suppose, Tony Keady, or Anthony Keady, son of the late Tony Keady, was also involved for UL, and Adam Screeney took over the frees, 4 points for him, and they were captained by Jack Leahy. The management team was heavily Limerick influenced. Dave Classy was involved as manager with Cian Hederman, Dave Foley, Jody Hannon, Mark Keane, and Tom Murphy, his backroom team. So congratulations to them. Tense 1-point win over DCU on home soil, reversing a 4-point interval deficit. The second team, they won the Freshers B crown, a 3-22 each draw after extra time before UL prevailed on penalties, 2-0 on penalties, with the hero of their goalkeeper, the Wexford man. I'm just trying to find his name here. Josh, where has he gone? The UL second goalkeeper, Josh Buckley, saving 4 penalties in that shootout win. Matt, moving now towards the third level games. Now, we're back after 1 or 2 minor technical difficulties. But Matt, I was just turning attention to the the second level, I should say. The Croke Cup competition take centre stage this weekend. Of course, games in all the tiers across the schools competitions. But it's St. Kieran's familiar foes for the Arts Reach contingent, who will provide the semi-final opposition. That's in Bansha on Saturday. These 2 schools, Matt, they don't need any introductions, I can tell you that. Anyway, they've met plenty of times in the last decade or so.
Yeah, like they're familiar foes, as you said there, Tom. And to a point, they have dominated the Dr. Croke Cup landscape. But unfortunately, from a Limerick point of view, and unfortunately from an Arts Reach point of view, the success has been weighted heavily in favour of St. Kieran's. Now, that changed in 2022, if you recall. And again, there are similarities here. In 2022, Arts Reach lost the Hartley Cup final to St. Joseph's from Tulla. and came back in through quarter-final, semi-final route to win the Croke Cup and beat St. Kieran's pretty convincingly enough, Tom, in Croke Park in the final. Now, it's a very strong Kilkenny team, St. Kieran's team again, but is there any such thing as a St. Kieran's team that is not strong and unbelievable? It's mind-boggling when you think of it, that on Saturday they're seeking to reach the final for the 9th year in a row.
Yeah, incredible.
Now, there was 2 years missed because of COVID. But for the last 9 years, if they win on Saturday, they will have contested the final in the last 9 times it was played. And to date, they've won 6 of them.
Yeah.
It is simply a phenomenal record. But I still believe, Tom, that the quarter-final win over Presentation Athenry was a great exercise for Ardscoil Reach, because it banished the ghosts of the disappointment of the Harty Cup and the manner in which they lost with a last-minute goal. Now, I know we might be hogging it with last-minute goals for our listeners this week, but it is what it is. But so they recovered now. You know, it took them time, and it was into the second half before they eventually got the better of Presentation Athenry. But the Galway colleges, you know, they've been strong over the years. We need only take a glance at what Galway have achieved at minor hurling level. So that will give you a sense, like, and it feeds into it to a degree. But it's a stellar St. Ardscoil Reach team. Now, St. Kieran's College have, I think it's 6 Kilkenny minors between last year and the year before, and they've this guy Alan McAvoy, like, who's a scoring machine, you know. But I've a sense all the time since the Harty Cup final that it just might be the spur that Ardscoil Reach need to go on and win the Croke Cup. Now, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be quite difficult with St. Kieran's College, but no, St. Kieran's College, very interestingly about St. Kieran's College, Tom, in the Leinster Championship, in the group stages, they beat Kilkenny CBS by a point. And they beat them 220 to 5 points in the Leinster final.
Yeah.
So try and fathom that one out. I think that would be one for Einstein or one of the great geniuses. But that's what it is, you know, that is the fact. So you just wonder where St. Kieran's are at. Now, Nina defeated Kilkenny CBS in the quarter-final.
Yeah.
Comfortable enough, I would say.
Yeah, it sounded like it in the end, yeah.
Yeah, it sounded like it in the end, but it wasn't a landslide or anything like that. But yeah, I think that there'll be good news for Ardscoil Reach on Saturday evening. I think they may just have what it gets to get over the line. You know?
Yeah, and sometimes, Matt, maybe at this level, this age group, we forget the age of players, but you know, they're 16, 17, 18, 19 years of age, and sometimes maybe the weight of expectation on a school can weigh heavily. You know, I'm just looking here, 24 times St. Kieran's College have lifted the Dr. Croke Cup. So I mean, that's
the point I'm making. Like, and 6 of those have been in the last 9 years.
Yeah, they're continuing, as I said already, use the phrase churning out teams of utmost quality. But sometimes that expectation that, you know, you have to be in an All-Ireland final, you know, all their predecessors, all their older friends, brothers, cousins, all the rest of the club mates have all led the way. So sometimes maybe that bit of weight of pressure could weigh a little bit heavily. So that'll be an interesting one in Bancha on Saturday. We'll see if
it will, and like we wish the lads in Ardscoil the best of luck, and you know, I think they're in with a real chance, like, because certainly, you know, it'll be an unusual place for Ardscoil in the current campaign, Tom. They're going in as underdogs.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that they are. Yeah.
The level of expectation, and I suppose to win an All-Ireland, you know, maybe along the way you need a wake-up call. And
Yeah.
if you know, the level of expectation, I don't think is as great as it was before the Munster final.
Yeah.
Had they won the Munster final, you know, it would be sky high. And I think the level of expectation has dropped somewhat, and they've learned their lesson. And it's an excellent team.
Yeah,
It's an
it
excellent
is.
team. But the unfortunate thing about it is that they don't seem to fire consistently for 60, 65 minutes. Like you were there when we saw them against Turles Sarsfields, 8 points in 8 minutes, first 8 minutes.
Yeah,
And I think they were all from play, as far as I recall, were they?
they were. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were. Yeah.
And then to be depending on 2 late points to win the hurling match, you know, it will take that kind of an effort over 60, 65 minutes to beat St. Kieran's, because you cannot give St. Kieran's the slightest opening, as we have seen down through the years, you know, and we have seen teams coming up and challenging. We've seen the like of St. Coleman's Fermoy. We've seen St. Flannan's Ennis being right, Turles CBS being right up there challenging. They've seen them all off.
Sorry, more technical issues here. The B final, Matt, is most definitely not to be forgotten as well this weekend. Cistercian College of Roscrea provide the opposition for Skullpole Kilfinnan. Difficult to know when you go down the tiers sometimes, Matt. Maybe we're not exposed to all the teams in it, but how this one will land. But I'm sure plenty of optimism around Kilfinnan and the surrounding neighbourhoods or parishes that an All-Ireland final appearance is certainly not beyond them.
It's the C final, actually, Tom. And
C
semi-final. And like there is, you know, it's around me here because there's 5 or 6 from my own club involved in it. It's well-placed optimism. They're a very, very good side now. Very, very good side. They came through the Munster Championship very, very impressively. None more so than in the final, Tom. When they were absolutely convincing winners, and if the final score on that particular day was misleading in that had Skullpole fully reflected their superiority in the scoreboard, they would have been out of sight much sooner. But they are a very, very competent side, and they have a good mixture of county players. Shane Fitzgibbon, he's the joint captain. He's massive. He won a county intermediate, premier intermediate medal with Drummond at Lacka last year. Yeah. Now he's joint captain with Christian O'Gorman from Charleville, who was a Cork minor last year. And then you have Darren Froon from Glenroe, who is with the Limerick under-19 development squad, and you have three more from my own club here, Glenroe, who are in the minor panel this year. You have Dahi Dennehy, who's a huge prospect, Adam Froon and Cahill Dennehy. So, like you know, for a school, of course, that is a rapidly growing school, Tom. Rapidly growing school, not just in terms of numbers, but in facilities as well. You know, the builders have been permanently practically on site there for the last couple of years. But my conclusion about Skullpole is this: very, very hard to judge when you're going to play a different province.
Yeah,
I would say this: it will take a good team to beat Skullpole.
Yeah, it's a Cistercian College, Roscrea, of course. Roscrea, people will point out in Tipperary, but they, of course, play in Leinster, as far as I'm aware, as what you're alluding to there, Matt, anyway.
Yeah, well, just another thing about them is that they have a certain element of borders in Cistercian College. Yes. And it means that there are players. I think the goalkeeper actually is from Naas, you know, in County Kildare. So there are Galway players, there are Kilkenny players. But very interestingly about Cistercian College, they're trained by former Tipperary All-Ireland winning captain Tommy Dunn,
Right.
who was coach to the Tipperary team with Liam Sheedy. So they will not be short in know-how. They will not be short in know-how. So, and they will not be short in preparation. So, look, it's going to be a big challenge for Skull-Pole, but I'm convinced, having seen that the Munster final, that it will take a very, very good team to beat them.
Yeah, well, we'll see what way that one lands, but it's Artscail of course, Saturday 2 p.m. in Bancha, and Skull-Pole Kilfinnan against Cistercian College Roscrea. That's in Kilcommon at the same time, 2 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. So best wishes to both Limerick schools on that front.
Before we go from this, and I'm going to be talking about it again, trust me and indulge me. Skull-Pole didn't know until yesterday where the game was on.
Yeah, yesterday being Wednesday, I think, was it, of this week?
Yeah, finally on. They got a late notice, I think, on Tuesday night that the game was on in Fethard at 4:30 on Saturday. And yesterday they were told it was in Kilcommon at 2:00. Like, surely we can do better than this. Now, pitches, have rarely absorbed more rain. Yeah. And I get that. But something will have to be done. I'd be talking about in the context of Camogie as well.
Yeah.
And to me, this, it just isn't on. Like the Ardscoil Reach St. Kieran's game was up in lights for Bancha. We knew that at the weekend.
Yeah.
And surely, as far as Skull-Pole Kilfinnan are concerned and Cistercian College Roscrea are concerned, they are entitled to have at least the best part of a week's notice as to where and when they're playing and what time. And their supporters are entitled to it, because there was a huge contingent of Skull-Pole supporters made the long journey to Fethard for the Munster final. So, surely they're entitled to know and get greater notice as to when their school is playing and where.
Yeah, definitely. Logistics alone would dictate that. Matt, you mentioned Camogie there. We'll take up that mantle now. The senior Camogie side off the mark in emphatic style in Ballyheigue, of all places, last Saturday. The comeback, I suppose, if you like, must start somewhere in terms of Limerick Camogie's revival at the top, towards the top table. And it started against Kerry. A good win. We've seen plenty of players, familiar names, back in the green of Limerick. I think everything is positive, certainly from this first outing.
Very positive, Tom. And I was extremely happy when I saw the lineup. Very, very happy. And I'll tell you why. And I mentioned it last week. I was so happy to see Sarah Carey back. And her return was certainly vindicated. Rebecca DeLee, who the birds are singing her praises even after the performance she put on in Kerry. Deverly Egan and Niamh Ryan. Now, they formed a diamond, Tom, in the centre of the field. Centre back, two midfield, centre forward. If you have a diamond of that quality that you hadn't last year, and add in Caoimhe Lyons, who in my opinion last year was in the form of her life at the end of the league campaign, but wasn't available for the championship. So, if you get 5 players of that quality back, Tom, it's a third of a team. You're entitled to expectation. And well done to Joe for bringing them back, getting his house in order, getting off to a win, because in many ways, Tom, it was a trip into the unknown, for the simple reason that Limerick had, only safe status both in league and championship last year, with wins over Offaly on the last day of the season. Now, Kerry came into the league with a bit of momentum because they had won the Division 2A and had a good win over Meath. It's not too long ago since Meath were in Division 1. And in that sense, it was a bit of a poke into the unknown. But it'll be very, very interesting to see if they can build on it. And I believe that they can. Now they're facing down this Saturday in McNeville Park, and it's on at an earlier time of 1 o'clock. And they're facing a Down team that were beaten by Antrim in the first round. Now, Limerick travelled to Down last year, and they were convincingly beaten at Leitrim Fontenoys. But a lot has changed since, and I spoke about the 5 players from Limerick that are back. Down's problem is the direct opposite. Their key player, Niamh Mallon, is reputed to have transferred to Galway, where she's now working. Lauren Clark is in Australia, and Catherine McGourty is retired. Three key players,
Certainly,
you know. Yeah. And Niamh Mallon is the second Down player that has transferred county allegiance, because Sorka McCartan has already transferred to Cork. So the pointers would be very much in favour of a Limerick win, and I think Limerick are quite capable of doing it. I just like the balance of the side, and if you look at the bench, Tom, and it's sometimes a very good guide when you see like Murren Kramer, Ola Kelleher, and the like of that on the bench. You're in a good place. You're in a good place. So I'd be very, very hopeful, just as I would be hopeful that the juniors will pick up a second win of the season. 2 weeks ago, they were desperate unlucky to lose to Dublin by a point above in Blanchardstown. This was a Dublin team that beat them by 20-something points last year. But last Saturday, they made up for it with a 4-20-4 points victory over Down. And they now face Antrim this weekend at a venue to be confirmed as we speak. Matthew.
Right.
So,
here we go.
when here we go. And Antrim were beaten by Down by 11 points to 7, and they were beaten by Dublin by 4-28 to a point last weekend. So all the pointers are for a Limerick victory. Now, that will conclude the group stages of it. So what happens next? There are 4 teams in the group: Down, Antrim, Dublin, and Limerick. The group phase is nothing more than a seeding process. There will now be 2 semi-finals, with first playing fourth and second playing third. From all forum guidelines, it would look as if Dublin will be top, Limerick will be second, Down will be third, and Antrim will be fourth. So Limerick will be playing a Division 3B semi-final, most likely against Down in a couple of weeks' time. So it will be a repeat of the Down game.
Yeah. And do we know a home advantage if that happens, if they beat Down this weekend? It may reverse.
I don't honestly know.
Yeah.
But there would be no argument for it reversing.
Yeah. And Limerick, of course, in that scenario will be the higher seed as well. So that would also potentially come in their favour. But we'll wait and see on that one. Down. Yeah, but
it's looking good. David Diddy's done a great job, and I'm like, he was, pretty cock of the hoop before the season started that he was going to have a much better season this season, and he pointed out, like, rightly, that he had 21 or 22 players of last year's panel.
Yeah.
So a bit of work has gone into him, and is beginning to pay dividends.
It comes back to that C word, Matt, that I was using a few weeks ago about Limerick Camogie. Consistency of players is the biggest conundrum facing them. So if they can solve that over a sustained period.
The Camogie Association, Tom, as an association, have got to get their house in order.
You have to get that consistency in order.
I completed my previews in the paper for the Observer with the venues down as venues to be confirmed, the times to be confirmed. And not only that, but I had to do it in the Vale Star also, which meant that by early afternoon on Wednesday, Limerick didn't know where they were playing their home game.
Yeah.
This has to stop.
Yeah.
It has to stop. Like, we Monday morning, before 10 o'clock Monday morning, when an email from the Ladies Football Association telling us that Limerick were playing Carlow in Castlemar or in Cooley Row at 2 o'clock next Sunday. How can they do it? And their sisters in the Camogie can do it.
Yeah, it is a strange one, all right. And I think the frustrations, I'm sure, are shared most by the players, whatever about us in the poor old media, but certainly the players and the team's management and everything. It's highly, highly frustrating. And I know the game is
the sooner the integration comes, the better. I was talking to a couple of the senior players in the Camogie. I was talking to them last Sunday in Rathkeer, and one of them made the point to me that they were hoping that they would get McNeville Park. Hoping, imagine. This day and age, our senior Camogie team have to beg for a venue. Nonsense.
Yeah. Well, Matt, I think I'm not sure what form it was on before, but I listed off the venues that I had reported on Limerick Camogie at in the last 2 years, and I'll go through them again here. We had LIT, we had the Gaelic Grounds, we had Bruff, I think Kilmallock, Rathkeil, Sean Finn Park in Rathkeil as well. I would say Ballygran, I can recall. Ballybrown was another venue. We're up at 8 there, and there's definitely a few I'm not thinking of there as well. And that's probably only since maybe 2019 or 2009. Cappamore, sorry, apologies to Cappamore.
Well, I can add another one. I covered the Camogie game in Tournafulla.
Right. So, and that's just the senior team as well. I'm not ignoring the juniors, but just for one particular entity of the Limerick Camogie, 10 venues that we've managed to list there without even doing a deep dive into our memory there. 10 venues in about 5 seasons. I mean, what are you at? Now I know the Limerick footballers probably had a similar run there for a while, but have certainly settled on McNeville Park since the stand was added. And the Limerick hurlers, obviously, it's the Gaelic grounds are nowhere really at this point. But I tell you, it's an indictment maybe on the lack of cohesion between the organisations that the Camogie haven't been able to nail down a home venue for on a permanent basis, maybe wherever that may be in the county. And in fairness to some of those clubs, have been very generous with opening their gates.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Full credit to the clubs, and the clubs have to protect their facilities as well. But we've gone to the stage now where we need a proper Camogie centre in Limerick, like they have in Cork and Castle Road. A place to call home. The hub
of Camogie in the area, yeah, certainly. And look, we won't be the ones to solve it here, but I think that integration piece will be one to watch over the next 2 to 3 years as Jarlath Burns leads it from the GAA side, and all the other powers that be across the organisations. I tell you, it could make the GAA or the Gaelic Games family one heck of an organisation, but we'll hold our breath on. We won't hold our breath on that one, Matt, because it's all until it's signed off.
There's many a slip come between cup and dip.
There we are, exactly. So that's the Camogie. 1 p.m. on Saturday. At the moment, of course, the weather may impact that, but 1 p.m. on Saturday, McNeville Park for the seniors and the juniors on the road to Antrim at a venue. The famous 3 letters TBC for that one. So keep an eye on the Limerick Camogie socials, Emer Kenny and the rest of the board there. I'm sure we'll keep you up to date on that one for venues. But Matt, we will now switch.
Is TBC AstroTurf, is it?
Yeah, I don't know. There's plenty of acronyms we could probably go for that, but maybe they mightn't be for this forum. But anyway,
that's not all the Camogie that's on at the weekend. Now I need confirmation on this, but Limerick are starting the All Ireland Minor A Camogie, the All Ireland Minor A Shield Camogie Championship.
And who provides
when they travel to Whitegate to play Clare in the first round. Now, I actually need to check when Quint is on. If you can bear with me for a second, can you?
I can, yeah. But, it seems very quick turnaround.
Tell us some of the stories of your past life there, Tom, while I'm trying to find this.
Well, I don't know. Can I think of any of the other venues for Limerick Camogie? But I'm sure anyone that has followed closer than I have maybe will certainly pop in the comments of all the venues they've seen Limerick Camogie line out in the last few years. As Matt delves through his notes looking for the venue.
Yeah, as I was saying there, Tom, they're playing in Whitegate. Now, those games are normally on a Sunday. So, subject to, confirmation. But just to give a small bit of a background, first of all, Limerick played Clare twice last year on successive Sundays. They played them in the final group game in Kilmallock and won it. And because of the vagaries of the system, they were pitted against each other in the All-Ireland semi-final the following week in Clonmel. And Limerick also won it before going on to being beaten by Antrim in the All-Ireland final. So Limerick have a number of players. I think they have as many as 10 that were on the minor squad last year. So I would be including Roisin O'Brien, who's an exceptionally good player, Kate Foley, among others. I would be expecting them to get off to a winning start. Paul Neenan and Tony Dunn have done a great job with them last year, and I'm sure they'll continue on the same vein this year. So we wish the girls the best of luck in Whitegate, and I'm pretty sure to Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday 2 p.m. in Whitegate. Just found it here. In fairness to Limerick Camogie, they had it up advertised earlier in the week. So that's the Electric Ireland Minor Championship, Whitegate GAA grounds, hosting that one on Sunday afternoon with a 2 p.m. throw in. Matt, we must move now towards football, and it's been a difficult start, it's fair to say, for Jimmy Lee, and the tension and the stress, I suppose, continues for all involved. They defeated on the road to Westmeath. They were in touch for long periods, but could never really forge ahead when it really mattered. And Westmeath, I think, kicked on late in the contest to take the win. 4 defeats in a row now in the league campaign. I suppose 6 defeats for the year, but 4 in the league where it matters. And they're back in action against Clare on Saturday evening. But time running out, Matt, in terms of picking up points. Westmeath was always going to be a tough test.
Westmeath was always going to be a tough one, but a crumb of comfort came out of Mullingar, Tom, in that it was arguably Limerick's best performance of the year. Because as you rightly pointed out, they were there right up to, it was down to 2 points actually in the game in injury time. So, it was a very, very creditable performance by Limerick, and it gives me the sense that the team is going in the right direction. Whether it can make it to survive or not is another question. But once we'd be going in the right direction, I would be happy. And in fairness to Jimmy Lee, with the loss of so many key players, and I don't want to be harping on this every week, but it's a fact. It's a fact. And it's going to take him time to rebuild the squad. He's to rebuild the squad, and he's to rebuild the team, and he's to put his own stamp in it. And I think he's doing it by degrees. Now, if you look at the table, and I studied the table since, Limerick aren't the only pointless team in it. So are Wicklow, and so are Offaly. But just to give a sense of what happens from here on in, we play Clare on Saturday evening at 6 o'clock in McNeville Park, a Clare team that have won 3 of their 4 games. Are in very, very good form. Huge win over Wicklow last weekend, and are in good form under Mark Fitzgerald, who was our interim manager last year when Ray Dempsey stepped down. So, but there's great rivalry between Limerick and Clare, and Limerick always seem to raise their game when they're facing Clare, and so that's something to be factored into. Now, Limerick's 2 remaining games are against their fellow strugglers, their fellow pointless strugglers, Wicklow and Offaly. But from a Limerick point of view, both of them are away. Yeah. Limerick have to travel to Auckland, and they have to travel to Tullamore. Tullamore, I think, is the last game of the year of the league campaign.
Yeah. So
it's going to be difficult, but I think it was heartening, the type of performance they were. First of all, they traveled to a Westmeath team banging for them. They travelled to a Westmeath team that had been a bogey team to Limerick, even when Limerick were at their best. But I thought it was a very, very, very creditable performance. And I think it augurs well. And as I've said here on this medium already, what's needed in Limerick football, as I said, is something that's very scarce commodity in sport. And that's patience.
Patience, yeah.
Patience.
Certainly, yeah. The scenario with the league, Matt, is, if we were to be optimistic, and it is hard to be optimistic, but the scenario for me is actually not too poorly now, the way the fixtures are falling. If Limerick win, if you can forget the Clare match for a minute, but if Limerick win against both Wicklow and then Offaly, they will, I would say, be fairly sure of safety on the head-to-head rule and everything else, because Wicklow and Offaly, I believe, meet this weekend. So only one of them can win that game. Now they could draw, of course, as well, but there's no scenario where the three of these counties can end up on 4 points. So if Limerick do win their 2 games against those 2 teams, they will be safe. If my my working out has been done correctly there. But obviously the Clare game is another.
Your permutations are spot on.
Yeah. So look, it's all is not lost yet, and I'm sure the gloominess around Limerick football is probably shared in Wicklow and Offaly. Obviously, Wicklow were just promoted, and Oisin McConville, and he thought maybe there was another kick in them in terms of progressing on, but that certainly hasn't materialised yet. And maybe Offaly, on the back of a good under-20s team, and I think had held their own in this division for a while, they were probably hoping for better things, but a very scarring loss for them, a defeat against Clare. I think they were 9 points up at one stage. You don't know what that'll do to them down the stretch and down the stretch of this group. So look, all is not lost. I think you're right about the Clare thing. Limerick do turn out good performances against Clare. You have to look no further than last year in the Munster Championship. I think it was a semi-final at the Gaelic Grounds. I think there was only a goal in it. Limerick, did not let Clare, who were probably in much better form, much better experience on the pitch. Limerick didn't let Clare away too easily that day, just a kick of a ball in it, really. So, and obviously the 12 months previous, Limerick had won on penalties against Clare in the Munster Championship. So they've certainly been thereabouts with Clare. So I think we'll see similar in McNeville Park on Saturday evening. It's just, can Limerick do enough to pick up a point or indeed 2 points? Mark Fitzgerald, Matt, he's set to contend with 12 absentees from his panel, a new panel in terms of his involvement as well. But he's managed to get 3 wins out of 4. No 2 things are linear, but in fairness to him, he's got a good tune out of what has been left in the post-Colm Collins era, in fairness to him.
But I would contend that Jimmy Lee is beginning to get a tune out of his charges now. He's down 17 players. He's down 4 or 5 of his top players. I spoke about top players there in Camogie a while ago. He's in a similar situation of being, he's without him.
Yeah.
And I'm for Jimmy Lee and his management team and the players. Like they're giving everything to turn this around, and they can do without the critics on the fence and the keyboard warriors. Many of who never kicked the football. They'll into themselves, So, I think lay off, be patient. If we have to go down, so what? If we go down fighting, I'll be quite happy that we'll be in a strong position to start the recovery immediately when the league starts next year.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. So 3 opportunities for Limerick to try and save themselves, but as Matt says, all is not lost in terms of this group. Matt, the men from not too far from over the road from you, Galbally, they collected some silverware. I think it was the 35th instalment of the Paddy O'Shea football competition, which is a tremendous, I suppose, tourism event for that part of West Kerry. It's a part I've frequented in the last couple of summers myself. A lovely part of the Woods Ventry and down around and all the surrounds. They're great, some great facilities as well. Galbally collected the junior title. Don't have the results to hand here. I think it was a Care of Tipperary.
Yeah, Care of Tipperary. They beat the final. You'll burn a lot of fuel before you'll be there as often as I've been there for the last 35 years without a break. So in that beautiful part of the world, I think it's just it's just heaven and in or around Ventry. But a fantastic competition started by the late Paddy O'Shea and is now being carried on by his family. And I think Patrick his son was there to present the cup to Owen O'Mahony, who was the Galbally captain. And it's a great start to the year for Galbally now. And because Tom Galbally are a football stronghold. And they went down the year before last. Didn't make the kick to come back up that was expected last year, because you must remember, as far as I know, in the group stages of the championship last year, and I'm maybe subject to correction in this, they got 2 walkovers.
Yeah, I think you're right there. They were in that group, weren't they? Yeah. Yeah,
which is a scandal. Which is no preparation for the knockout. And to think that we have the same format in place again this year is criminal in my opinion. But that's look, I've given up on that. My teeth are worn and I have a sore throat from talking about this. I thought it was unthinkable that there wouldn't be some revision to the Intermediate Football Championship this year.
Yeah.
Anyway. And I'm not being an apologist for Galbally or anybody else, but what I'm saying is the system militates against, and Galbally, they started off the campaign with 1 or 2 good results, and then to start, they'd walk over, and I'm delighted for the start for Galbally, because, as I said, they take their football very, very seriously in Galbally, and delighted that Owen O'Mahony was the captain, a fantastic footballer, and well done, Galbally, congratulations.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, team involving a couple of Limerick men, Matt, at schools level, Mitchelstown CBS. I think you told me earlier 3 Limerick men. You might tell me a little bit more about that, but they're on the wrong end of is it a semi-final? Yeah,
Mitchelstown CBS won the Munster Colleges PE Championship this year with 3 Gaelic Gaels players on board. As you know, Gaelic Gaels, the parish of Mitchelstown, is a part of the village of Kilbehenny, which is in the parish of Mitchelstown. So that'll tell you how close they're there. But Mitchelstown CBS, they won the Munster B colleges. Now they won the All Ireland C colleges last year. So Sculpole would be hoping that the trophy wouldn't come too far from Mitchelstown, just down the road. But they were beaten by Ashbourne in the All Ireland semi-final, and there are 3 lads from Gaelic Gaels on the team. One of them was even the joint captain.
Okay, well, commiserations to them. Matt, the ladies footballers, we were concerned maybe before they got suffered the first defeat. I think we're more than concerned now. Their league campaign looks in more than a spot about their second defeat on the bounce last weekend. They're back in action though this weekend, trying to arrest the slide.
Yeah, there's perfect symmetry to their results in that they have 2 wins, 2 draws, and 2 losses. But it's not conducive to progressing to the semi-final easily. There's a number of permutations, Tom, but there is one permutation that sticks out. Anything other than a Limerick win, and they're out of the league.
Yeah.
Now, if they win, they will move to 11 points along with Carlow. Now, were Longford to beat Leitrim, which will be quite a bit of a test now, they would also move now, but Longford have home advantage. They would also move to 11 points. So the 2, I should say that Fermanagh and Leitrim are already through.
Yeah.
So you would have a 3-way. You would have a 3-way battle for 2 places in that scenario. But there's another little scenario deep down that may come to pass. They'd be on 11 points. Now, it would come down to scoring difference. Here, advantage Carlow, no problem, unless Limerick beat them by 20 or 25 points, which is not going to happen. Longford, at the moment, have a 4-point advantage over Limerick.
Yeah, +10, and Limerick +6.
6. So it would come down then to, it would be decided by the winning margins. And this is something that I flagged for you a couple of weeks ago, Tom. Limerick's winning margin against Kilkenny and Derry might very well come back to haunt them, even if they win. Now, if they lose, of course. There's another scenario, Tom. There was a surprise result last week when Longford lost at home to Wicklow. Means Wicklow are on 7 points. And it means if Wicklow beat Kilkenny, which they certainly will, they'll move to 10 points. And were Longford to lose to Leitrim and Limerick lose to Carlow, Wicklow will have come from nowhere to take the fourth semi-final spot.
Yeah. Not inconceivable, I'd say, but we'll see. No. Plenty of permutations there, yeah.
But so, as far as Limerick are concerned, straightforward, win the football match, see where it takes you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I think they'll be up against it against Carlow. There's little doubt. Carlow, fairly impressive side today.
I'm looking back now at the Fermanagh match. Desperate bad start, 5 points to 0 down. Had it clawed back to 6 points to 4 at half time. Failed, unfortunately, to score in the second half. But restricted Fermanagh to 3 points. Excellent defence. Took a leap of faith in that nominated Cathy Mee to be centre half back. She played excellent there, but you just wonder did her power play at centre back, was it offset by her loss up in the forwards, which I think it probably was, because we really now the only 2 goal chances, the real goal chances of the game were created by Limerick. Roisin Gleeson, the Fermanagh goalkeeper, made a full-length save after 4 minutes to deny Aris Kennelly a goal. And with 3 or 4 minutes to go, when they were hanging on a small bit, 8 points to 4, Karen O'Leary was thrown goal, and Roisin Gleeson, and just as she was about to pull the trigger, came out and smothered it. So they were the 2 best goal chances. Fermanagh in my view, didn't create anything like that in terms of goal chances. There were so many positives, Tom, but like a concoction of unforced errors, turnovers, maybe taking the wrong options with the target in sight, has left us in the position that we're in. Yeah. And like there is a consistency in where the problems are. The turnovers have been a problem, unforced errors, and failing to make good possession and good approach play count on the scoreboard. All that has to be gone, to beat Carlow, to give yourself a chance of making it to the semi-final.
Yeah, and just looking at the table, Matt, it's interesting to note that Limerick have the best defence in the league.
It doesn't surprise me. They're excellent.
Yeah,
they're excellent.
Between goals and points, it's only 50 points across the 6 games. So that's 8 points a game, 8 and a bit.
8 points a game.
Yeah, which is pretty shrewd. And obviously, there are issues then at the other end. Apart from Kilkenny, they have the I suppose if you want to use the word bluntest, second most bluntest attack in the division. Obviously, Kilkenny with the poorest, but only 56 points. Then will tell you where Limerick's issues are lying in attack. That's obviously slightly more than they've conceded, but it's not even 10 points a game. So I suppose they need to improve on their attacking threat. And
I've seen 4 of the games, and and Mike Quiddigan and Sean Kiley and their management team are doing their level best to address it, and they have identified it from day one, and it has improved a bit, but it hasn't improved sufficiently. The concession of losing 2 points to Wicklow on the first day, I got a neary feeling after that. I said 2 vital points gone. Now, it could be offset a bit against Longford because they snatched the point at the end against Longford. Kate Kennedy got a late point so you could say that was a point retrieved in that draw.
Yeah.
But like if you had that extra point now, you would be going into the game on Sunday. It's on at 2:00 at the moment in Quaid Park in Cooley Row. And if you had that extra point, it would mean that you would go to 12 points and that there'd be no ifs, ands, and buts and permutations. The rest of them could do what they damn like behind you.
Certainly, yeah. And in fairness to you, Matt, you did flag it early, that draw against Wicklow. I thought it was maybe not a bad point, because I know Wicklow had been strong in recent years, but you were of the opinion that maybe it was too last. And a reminder, of course, 3 points for a win, meaning that draws they're just not as valuable maybe as they would be if it was only 2 points for a win. So the draws don't stack up as nicely. Matt, I think that brings a conclusion to the on-field matters. You were mentioning to me before we started here on air, the East Board have an interesting evening ahead, which you're, I believe, MC for. Tell us a little bit more about that.
They have a very, very interesting. It started off as the East Limerick Shan Gaels, all-time Gaels, and they have started a separate committee. And basically, what was to honour unsung heroes and unsung volunteers and former hurlers, like who wouldn't have been recognised to any great extent in the past. And now they have a number of special prizes, special awards like Referees Award, All-Time Award, Special Achievement Award. But there is an award for a member of every club in the division. Right. So there can be no hankering or no argument. Each club will have a representative recognised for their achievements, for their contribution on the field and their contribution as volunteers. Mm-hmm. It's a fantastic format. Standing room only in the Millennium Centre in Carrick-on-Dish, which is a huge venue. It draws huge crowds, and it all kicks off at 8:30 on this Friday evening, and it really is an evening to look forward to. And I'll speak about it next week about who has been recognised, but there is recognition. My apologies. Tell that dog to stop barking. He's confusing me. There'll be recognition for the late Dolores O'Riordan, which is a very, 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 very thoughtful thing on the part of the Gaels. So, it promises to be a special night. Yeah, certainly. And it covers, as Matt said, every club from, I suppose, Bedamore all the way over to Pallasgreen, Cappamore, Doon, everyone in between, South Liberties, obviously Carrick-on-Dish, Caroline, all these clubs. So plenty across the east. Have I named the club that's not in the east now, Mayor? I think a lot of them covered there. Also, just on nights, on Friday the 15th, there'll be a very, very special night in Bulgadin Castle. When Kilmallock GAA Club will go back through the pages of time and honour and recognise the men that brought him 3 All-Ireland, 3 Limerick titles in a row back in the 70s, 3, 4 and 5. So that's another night, and I'll be speaking about it next week. Certainly one of the great club teams of Limerick Hurling, that particular team. So I'll talk about it next week. Yeah, certainly. And it's very hard the 3 in a row is very hard in both codes in Limerick, as we've seen all too recently in Newcastle West collecting the first football one in nearly 50 years, and the hurling one, I think maybe a dare, the only team to do it in recent memory anyway. So I'll tell you the achievement of that Kilmallock team of the 70s. Well, I think that covers it all this week on Limerick Gaelic Games front. Thanks very much for listening, or indeed watching wherever you tune in to us. Do leave us a comment if there's anything we've forgotten or anything you'd like to plug in future weeks. We'll be sure to give it a mention in the next week or so. Matt, thanks for your time. We'll chat to you again soon.